and why we're able to share this information with you. So we're a consulting and training company that won our clients over 22 billion government contracts since 2005. And we do that through consulting. We find opportunities for you, help you capture in proposals, but we also teach you how to do this yourself. And we have one of a kind, the first in the nation, registered apprenticeship in government business development. We actually work with the Maryland Labor Department that gives you a certain nationwide certification in all aspects of business development, and also subsidizes heavily that particular course. So if you guys are interested, let us know, and we'll make sure that you are then qualified in government business development. And it's a wonderful opportunity to truly learn how to do it professionally, either you or somebody who works for you. All right, so let's dive straight into this. So when you really think about Q4 that we are in right now, right? So we are in that last quarter of government spending. This is where you need to do proposals faster. That's where you really need to react quickly to what's going on with the government, especially in a current reality. And Q4 is the spending rush to the feds, as you know. I'm going to kind of walk through the pattern of what happens in the government quarters. As you know, the government fiscal year starts October 1. Right, so that's the quarter one. We're in a Q4, even though it's not the Q4 for the regular calendar year. We're not going to enter that till October 1. For the government, we're in the Q4 now. And fiscal year spending, essentially in the Q1, you have, you're going to see quite a few RFPs. Really, you know, when you think about the dead time for the government contracting, it's not around Christmas or New Year's as people traditionally believe. You will work proposals on Thanksgiving. You will work proposals through Christmas, most likely. Your holidays will be ruined if you're in this business of government contracting. So you see a lot of activities there. When it really starts dying down is Q4, starting about February, March timeframe. You're going to see quite a bit of a slowdown, even though in January you will see something still pop up. And then the dead quarter is springtime. So when you're really looking at April, May time frame, this is where things really slow down. Although for some agencies, they start the uptick because some of them are trying to commit funds before the Q4 truly hit. Right? Some of the DoD agencies are really upticking at that point. But majority of the things are going to really slow down. This is where you want to plan vacations, weirdly enough. A lot of government contractors don't know that, but you're sort of end of March, April, May time frame is the deadest time. And then all of a sudden, you know, come the end of June, you go into a total spending frenzy. And it goes up until September 30th, right? So 16.5% of the total annual spending occurs in September. 8.7% of spending occurs in the last week of September. That's when you're going to see a lot of sole source awards. And right now, there is legislation pending on the Hill where we're trying to lift the limitations on, you know, having the rule of two, at least two capable small businesses, different rule of two, right? So at least two capable small businesses, you know, for the SDVOSB sole source, making sure that there aren't any. That's the only way you can get SDVO to be sole source right now. For 8A sole source, you don't need that. That's why the 8A sole source is the easy button traditionally in a government contracting. So a lot of that has gone through the 8A program. Right now, we're trying to change that with a legislation backed by Marco Rubio. And we're trying to temporarily at least lift that so that hub zones, women-owned, and SDVOSB can enjoy the same exact benefits as the 8A, so that all the dollars don't go to the 8A companies like they traditionally do. So we're trying to also lift the sole source limit up to 8 million per year. So that's a 40 million total for the 5-year contract duration, for example. So a lot of things that you may be experiencing from the perspective of having contracting officers, like if you're an SWSB or woman-owned or hubs-owned, but not an AA, if you're having trouble with the contracting officers giving you contract awards, that may be lifted, and especially if that legislation gets passed in time for that end of the quarter four, then you're going to see a total upsurge in that sole source set of contracts. So spending in the last week of fiscal year is 4.9 times higher, almost 5 times higher than weekly average in the rest of the year. And sole source awards and single bid competitions do increase, of course. And most executive agencies spend more in Q4 because the budgets expire at year's end. And so they're losing opportunity to get good services for the money they have. They need to obligate that money on the contract. Otherwise, they have to return money to the Treasury General Fund, and you know how much people like to return money. You have decreased future budgets as a result of that, because, hey, you didn't need that money last year, but you need it now. So reasons for the Q4 rush is, as you know, there's late appropriations by Congress. Congress does take time to issue things, especially this year. Congress has been busy with a lot of COVID-related, the CARES Act legislation, and it's been preoccupied with a lot of things that have been happening in the world. Agencies also save low priority projects for fiscal year end and do them if they have no better uses for the money. If the money hasn't gotten used up elsewhere, they'll buy IT services and equipment, commodities, construction related goods and services, furnishings, office equipment. A lot of those things are going to be kind of put to the end, and that's where the frenzy actually happens. The procrastination, of course, is our best friend. Everyone suffers from that to a certain degree. Some people suffer for it more, but there is that, and that's a reality in the government as well, that then followed by the sense of urgency when the deadline is looming. And of course, there's going to be delays this year associated with the COVID-19 pandemic onset, when the government was just as shocked as everyone has, when we were reeling from, hey, the world just entered a twilight zone, and nothing was normal, and people slowed down and they had to stay at home, and there was a period of time when the RFPs weren't coming out, and that also coincided with a dead period in government contracting. And then it shifted to a frenzy of just putting the contracts on the existing vehicles to get them underway quickly. Really just sticking with the vendors that were known quantities. So that was kind of a difficult period as well. And a lot of dollars being shifted to, in Maryland here to NIH kind of vehicles, and a lot of the firepower being shifted to the research on the virus. So there's been a lot of delays, a lot of priorities kind of shifted around. So now you'll see at the end, having those other projects still taken care of, but it's going to be a mad rush because all kinds of things slipped. So you want to go ahead and plan ahead, right? So you want to communicate with the customers continuously regarding their needs and availability of funds. If you have that dialogue already, it makes it a lot easier. If you're a newcomer into the market, it makes it harder because you don't even have the kind of face-time opportunity, a few face-time opportunities you used to have. Right? So right now, a lot of those are gone, right? The agencies are trying to adopt, and they're starting to shift a lot of things online, but it's not the same opportunity to build a relationship as you may imagine. It's much more controlled, it's much more observed. The records of this are kept a lot more easily. So as you know, those kinds of relationship building environments are not optimal. But the good part is everybody struggles with that. It's just the ones that are already in the government contracting market will have an easier time. So plan to run an aggressive sales campaign early in Q4 for the next year for your planning. Just kind of observe and understand you need to start planning for the Q4 much earlier than the Q4 itself. Line up extra resources for the hot proposal season. So right now, if you have not lined up resources, line them up in Jiffy. Proposal industry is one of those things that has never been really hit by COVID. in a serious way, right? So there was a slowdown, but it was temporary. Right now, it's really, really tough to find people who are available because they're all the good ones are really busy doing proposals. For example, I'm on vacation right now, and we're doing proposals. So it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. We're grateful to have the work. So you have internal staff, consultant staff, whatever you need to do to staff up. It is happening. You want to train project staff and mobilize subcontractors to sell with many feet on the ground. If you have teaming partners that you're working with very closely, just make sure that everybody is on the same page and you guys are working in unison and in concert to go ahead and sell and find those opportunities where you could collaborate. Also establish processes for smart bid no bid decisions and speedy proposal preparations. Don't sit on stuff that's time sensitive for 2, 3, 4, 5 days to decide whether you're going to bid or not. Make those decisions immediately. Don't lose this precious days. 30 days is not enough to put a proposal together. 2 weeks is definitely not enough to put a proposal together. So do not wait. Every single minute, every single hour counts. And have the processes put in place. If you do not have a process, you're going to have chaos. So make sure that you understand how proposals are put together, what the processes are. I'm going to share some tips with you today. But before we do, I'm going to also talk about strategy, right? So strategizing offerings for items not yet solicited. Has the customer, the government customer, communicated needs to your current project staff? Have they talked to them? Is your staff talking to you? Or are they separately on site with the client or whatever on a project with the client, never really communicating with you? And they don't even know what an opportunity looks like. Can you sell a deliverable? Small chunks of expert time. Throw up impressive resumes. Right now, they've lifted up the limit of what they can buy with just a credit card with a small purchase. And that amount is much higher. So you may be able to sell some chunks up to $20,000 very easily. Can you break up your project into pilot proof of concept to accomplish this year, to get funding for a larger project later? Can you offer equipment upgrades, fiscal year end savings for products? By the way, the other thing that's lifted in addition with the purchase card is the limit for what actually goes to a small business. So we used to have 250K, now it's 750K. So all those contracts will have to go under a simplified procurement to the small businesses. So you kind of need to pay attention to those opportunities as well. And then you have to roll up your sleeves, right? So contracting specialists are swamped at the fiscal year end. They often work late through the weekends. You want to plan to write the statement of work at the very least. SAL, PWS, SUE in its entirety. Provide fodder for market analysis required in sole source awards. So make sure you do your research. We have a lot of classes on how to do that. So I don't have a lot of time to dive into that today. You want to give good justification at sole source. And be ready to justify your costs in detail. A lot of competitive bidding or time and material costs are regarded as high risk by the government, and therefore you want to have, even if it is firm fixed price, they're going to ask you for details because they're in an advantage negotiating a sole source award. So you want to justify this in detail. So here's the challenge. You are facing or about to face a large number of solicitations. Small but fierce competition. Quick turnaround to get money obligated before the fiscal year end. Lots of the work is going to shift to task orders. There's going to be tight page count for faster evaluation. The government is not going to want to spend a lot of time reading lengthy proposals. And as you know, writing a shorter proposal is a lot harder to make it more competitive. It's not easier on you when you do it right. And the necessity to get pricing right from the start is there as well. There's no time for negotiations and final proposal revisions. So you want to make sure that you give them good stuff from the outset. So Your tip number one is brainstorm, right? But avoid unstructured. We're brainstorming with subject matter experts. Unstructured is when you don't know what you're doing when you're brainstorming. You're just sitting around the table and starting a discussion. Hey, how are we going to win this? What should you think we should propose? What should be our solution? All good questions, unstructured, wasting your time. It goes on for hours, but there's little usable proposal material that gets produced. The solution may lack persuasive power, appear bland, show no innovation because you are not doing it correctly. How do you do it correctly? You want to use a facilitator who is going to be helping you brainstorm with post-its or mind mapping. You want to first warm up. My favorite warm-up is having people tell each other the stories of brilliance. Actually, when they did something, doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it could be fixing a toilet. It could be fixing a sink. It could be figuring out a solution to a problem in your business. Writing a report that got your boss promoted in the government. Something like that, right? So when you felt like an absolute genius, have people share some of those stories to put them in a right mindset, in the mood to generate something innovative. You have to be in the mood to be really good at something, right? You want to generate massive quantity of ideas without judgment, meaning that if you have, Mr. and Mrs. Skeptic on your team, they need to be shut off at that moment. Even if you have to make your brainstorming silent, as in like people get to write their ideas down on your virtual post-its, use like a Trello board for it virtually, or if you have a Teams environment, you can just use PowerPoint and work out of the same file. And generate massive quantity of ideas without judgment. Then you want to kind of shift things around, piggyback on other people's ideas, and add to that set. Allow everyone to write down and reorder ideas while you're generating theirs. You want to sort, prioritize, and lead through that process, right? So, and then you're going to have ideas very quickly without having to spend hours, and you'll have something usable for your proposal. So also, tip number 2 is don't start with cutting and pasting. Some of us believe that the best possible way to generate ideas to actually put proposal together is to reuse what you've already written. Now, it may save you time indeed. The problem is, writers drown in content. Content doesn't quite answer the questions. The material is almost right if you're really good at tailoring, right? If you are terrible at tailoring, then it's going to be very obvious that this is cut-based because you may have other customers' names and concepts in the proposal. But if you're good at tailoring, it's going to be almost right, but not quite what this customer needs to hear at this time. And you will miss all those gaffes because your eye isn't trained to the content. And you're going to miss the wrong information. It's going to go to the client. And I will tell you, over and over, I will ask a government customer, an evaluator, hey, can you tell it's boilerplate? And they're like, oh my God, yes. And I feel disrespected. And I feel like they've wasted my time. Now, it saved you time putting a proposal together, but your proposal is basically going to be regarded as disrespectful, and it's not going to win. And it's a waste of your time and money. Do you really want to do that? It is always custom. Always use the thinking and brainstorming first. Then figure out what you want to tell. And then you can use boilerplate. You can use old proposals, but you need to use it in a certain way, what I call it surgical way, right? So the better solution is start with an annotated outline. Put the right outline together. If you guys don't know how to do that to make sure it's 100% compliant, go to a professional like you can call us and we can put that together for you. That's a very small investment on your part into a compliant proposal. But you need to start with something that's really good structure, it's compliant, answer all the questions first, right? Brainstorm all the questions with bullets or mind maps or with post-its, whatever you need to do is, kind of have your key decision makers live, online, present, right? With the goal to plan out the entire response. Okay, what should we actually talk about here? Then read what you have available from your old proposals. And surgically, sentence by sentence, word combination by word combination, only add the content that fits. Do not cut and paste the entire page or paragraph. With a critical eye, say, hey, this portion fits, this portion says something else. It doesn't really answer the question the way it's posed. And what you may discover is that not much of your material is actually reusable. What I find is people are so convinced. I had a client, and who's really sophisticated, actually, well trained in the proposal process, who once told me, hey, our proposal is 80% written already with all the old boilerplate that's reusable. Was it? Not even close, because once you started looking at the slant, at the angle, at how the questions were answered, it was not correct. So, and they wasted a lot of time on illusions of readiness. And thank goodness, I had them actually read it and, aloud on the screen. And they started reading and they started really diving into that. And they realized they were about to submit an embarrassing proposal. And they actually did a proposal without us. They were trying to cut costs, and they had somebody local, like a local consultant, help them. And when the people were there trying to borrow boilerplate from that other proposal, they were like, this stuff is embarrassing. Well, somebody did not stand up to them and let them cut and paste. Cut and pasting is only good when you're surgical. Don't do it any other way. Number 3 is have a plan for areas where the proposal effort could fall apart, right? So even if you have a process and you think you're good at it, right? You need to plan really well. So make sure your proposal schedule is there in the first place, and it's not aspirational, as in we would like to finish it by that point, but it is realistic when you absolutely have to get stuff done and detailed. And also think ahead of where do you have areas of weakness in the proposal. For example, if you have gaps on the team and there's no solution or customer knowledge, subject matter experts are unavailable at specific periods. Management is unavailable to make key decisions, review, approve, or sign documents. Weekends or holidays are in the middle of the proposal period, like the Labor Day coming up, for example. Key resources focused on competing priorities. And there's a dependence on teaming partners for vital information, and you basically are at a point where you can't come up with that. And if they're busy, they're not giving you the right information. What are you going to do about that? If you know going in, then that's a problem. What are you going to do about that? What is your plan to address all these gaps? So think ahead and have at least a plan B, if not a plan C and a plan D. Tip number 4 is maintain situational awareness. Know where your proposal is on any given day and what's left to do. You want to issue clear assignments at the kickoff and not after. Like a lot of people are rushing to have that kickoff meeting. They don't have an outline, they don't have a schedule, they don't have a proposal plan, they haven't thought through all the problems. They're just rushing to get it started. That's bad. Right? So you want to be prepared for the kickoff. You want to have all the key pieces ready. So now that you conduct a kickoff and issue all the assignments at the kickoff or prior to the kickoff, and just let the people know what the assignments are, you then schedule daily status meetings, especially right now when majority of the work is being done virtually. So you want to make sure that there is constant communication, there's over communication within the proposal team. You want to track the path to completion for each section. Here's the matrix. This is an example of a matrix that I live and die by. And that is, you want to make sure that you kind of put in that area where it says path to completion, right? So you have all your action items left to do in a section, and then status, not done, in progress, good, and ready, right? And track each section status in real time. Know what everyone is doing at any given moment. Do not have people waste resources by sitting there struggling with a writer's block or some decision that hasn't been made, and now they're like stopping before the decision gets made, that they're not moving forward with their section. They get so tied up with something else in their lives, other work, other proposals, that they don't have time to pay attention to this proposal, and now you're behind. So you may want to have to replace that resource or find a solution and help them with other work so they can actually have time to write this proposal. So you need to know about this stuff on a daily basis and track it. Tip number 5 is manage your writing time. So some people feel like it's better to postpone the proposal writing until they have a weekend available, right? Hey, you know, I'm not going to do anything right now realistically this week because I'm so busy. It's Tuesday. Why don't I just block off Saturday and Sunday and I'll knock this section out? Why is it bad? Well, because it's not realistic and it is postponement and procrastination, and it is putting the proposal at risk. So you want to, and you and your subject matter experts, understand that proposal writing should not take you hours. If you're properly trained, and we do offer training on writing persuasive federal proposals faster, we actually show you speed writing techniques, but productive writing is, you know, just even if you don't know any techniques, you need to understand productive writing is done in smaller chunks of time, right? So even if you use this technique I'm teaching you now, you're already going to be better. So there's 15 or 20-minute intervals that you could use for intense writing without checking email or answering phones. And use a kitchen timer or a phone app to time yourself. Kitchen timers sometimes work better because they're like a physical representation of the time ticking. Some of them actually go tick, 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 tick the whole time. And it kind of like it gets your brain to focus on that, and you realize that this is a shorter period of time. So you perform a little bit better, but phone timer, phone app will work just as well. So it's a way to trick your mind. Think about it is that you will have an easier time starting, since it's no longer a daunting task. You have a deadline. We do better on a deadline. Deadline is the ultimate inspiration. And sometimes that's a really great warm-up, right? So you will be warmed up and you will not want to stop because you will be too into it. You'll just keep going and you'll knock it out a lot faster. Right, so check out our Writing Persuasive Federal Proposals class, but that's where we talk about the psychology. You have to have the right mindset for speed writing, the right process, and the right tools. But this is one of those tools that's going to work for you, and you can take away from this class. Tip number 6 is conduct in-process reviews. If you are somebody who is managing that proposal, right, so if you have a formal proposal, if you are a formal proposal manager, or you have formal proposal managers work for you, or you are the boss, the company owner, you know, the small operation, and you are managing that process. What I will tell you is when you give somebody an assignment, if you haven't seen a section of the proposal, it does not exist. It doesn't matter what the person tells you. Hey, you know, I'm working on it. Hey, I've been working on it really hard. Hey, I'm cranking on it. I'll get it over to you. If you have not seen it, it does not exist. What I ask authors to do is to post their work daily, even if they've done a sentence, a paragraph. I want to see it. A word. I want to see it. Read everything daily yourself. I know it's hard. It's a huge imposition. Proposals are not easy, guys. This is not an easy job. So read everything daily. If you don't have time, formally assign others on your team to critically peer review daily submissions. Have them track changes, make sure they actually do it. This is the field that's prone to procrastination, and people will, otherwise honest people will stretch the truth to tell you things are being done when they are not. And I see that all the time. Otherwise honorable, good, honest people will fluff the truth, right? Because it's embarrassing not to be ready. And it creates peer pressure and accountability when you check work, and prevents writer's drift. They're not going in a left field, cutting and pasting stuff from other proposals that has nothing to do with it. Two, you're going to flag that boilerplate there. And it prevents embarrassing reviews. When you bring in your teaming partner, you bring your proposal, it looks like, hey, all the sections are filled out. And you have basically garbage there, which I see all the time too. So you don't want to have an embarrassment. You want to read stuff every day and make sure that you're moving in the right direction. Even if it's not polished, at least it's not embarrassing. It's not in the left field. It is actually talking about this client, this project. You'll be a lot faster, and you're not going to have a lot of rework. Now, I've prepared some bonus tips for you as well. So you want to train the reviewers on how to review the proposal. The biggest waste of time is having the reviewers sit there and fix your grammar, especially in an early review, or tell you, well, this doesn't work, but not telling you how it's supposed to work, or this needs to be rewritten. Well, how? Right? So a lot of untrained reviewers just waste your time, and you're under the illusion that you're following the right process, you're doing all the right things, but in reality, you're just slowing down your progress in exchange for some really shoddy review comments. So what I tell you is you don't need many reviews, but you need good ones. Skip a pink team or a red team if you must. If you guys don't know what those teams are in the industry, at the very least, take some free classes or some PTAC classes. If you have a little bit of budget, take our courses or get the apprenticeship, because you need to learn those conventions, because you're going to be, at the very least, even if you're subbing, talking to your primes, you need to understand those terms. Make up for it through informal reviews. There are informal reviews as well that you could have in a proposal where somebody's always reading and reviewing the material. Each review should get your proposal quality at least one evaluation grade higher. An evaluation grade, I mean the government evaluation, how the government is going to look at it. In your evaluation factors, usually it's section M in the RFP, they will tell you how they're going to grade your proposal. You need to get your proposal to that at least a grade higher with each review. So my rules for treating the reviewers is prohibit the copy editing. Copy editing is a lower end skill in the proposal development profession. Do not have your reviewers be your copy editors. That's not something they need to focus on. Also, show your reviewers examples of good and bad review comments so that they understand what they need to aim for. Explain how compliance works. A lot of people don't understand proposal compliance. And again, if you don't understand exactly how to do proposal compliance, or have only a cursory understanding of that, that's a core piece of knowledge in government contracting. Take some courses. Number 4 is explain how to review the proposal like an evaluator. You have to show them the section M, what's in the section M, and how they need to grade it. Give them a matrix to grade things, and explain how you want many comments, not a few. Because I've seen reviewers, I see reviewers all the time who will put a comment or two on the first page, a comment in the second, skip 3 pages, put another comment, and it's few and far between. That means they didn't really truly focus on the content. No, it's your proposal. It's not your proposal being that good, because you can always find stuff, find the areas to improve, and it can even give you positive comments, right? Have them truly pay attention. A lot of people use half a brain cell for the reviews. Don't let it get away with it. So also explain you want insights that require reviewers' full brain power. Like, don't phone it in. A lot of people, what I call is engaging with content, they don't engage with content. They don't have like full reading comprehension turned on, right? So you want to make sure that they do, and you expect them to do it. You expect them to truly comprehend what you've written. So set those expectations right so that they can give you good stuff. Now, you also want to avoid filler language in your proposals that kills your proposal persuasion, right? So most adjectives and adverbs, superlatives, that people feel like, hey, I'm selling in my proposal, therefore I should put those words in. Like, we are a premier provider of, or we're a world-class company, or we have seasoned experts or highly experienced personnel, best of breed, best of class, industry leader, leading provider, leading or cutting edge, state of the art, bleeding edge, whatever it is, right? So there's all this fluff. So what it does to your proposal, instead of actually making it more persuasive, it makes you salesy, insincere, and suspect to the government because they salespeople. The effect is just the opposite of engendering trust. These words are overused, they're not believable, they're not precise because nobody knows what world class is. When I think about world class as people at the Olympics, athletes in the Olympics are usually world class. The ones especially that are contending for the medals. World class. But what is world class to you? I have no idea, right? What season to you and what season to me may differ. So they're really imprecise. They are like dousing yourself in cheap perfume and thinking, oh my God, I'm now irresistible. And everybody else, you know, I don't know if you've ever been in an elevator trapped with somebody who had put a lot of Axe on themselves or something like that, the cologne. And you were like, oh my God, I just want to claw my way out of here right now. So it's one of those things that people use in the proposals, and it just right away takes your proposal a grade down. Also, we will leverage our experience. Explain exactly what you will do and how the past experience will be useful. Don't leave it an empty claim like most proposals do, or it will come across salesy. Tell an anecdote about that past performance. How did you do? What did you do so well? Precisely what kind of savings did you achieve? Time, money, risk reductions. Be specific. Also, my absolute favorite, most hated word in proposals, unless the RFP tells you, show you understanding, you want to use that word once to be compliant. But don't say we understand the realities of your agency's day-to-day environment and then move on to something else, right? So most proposals state that you understand something and then create an unsubstantiated claim because you don't ever discuss what it is you understand. And if you actually show understanding, you don't even need to say the words we understand. So to give you an example, there's a girl of 20 sitting there waiting for the hiring manager in an interview. The hiring manager rolls in 20 minutes late. Her hair is all out of place. She's red in the face. She was rushing. She's, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was getting my kids out the door, getting them ready for school, and I have, you know, it's always, the mornings are always crazy. And the 20-year-old just says, I understand. No worries, I understand. Right now, she basically positions herself as kind of insincere, right? Because how would she understand a 20-year-old sitting here? How would she understand a mom of 4 that is trying to pack everybody out to school and have crazy mornings? She doesn't really, right? Maybe intellectually she does, but that is not understanding. What if she said it differently? What if she said, yeah, don't worry about it. You know, I get it. When I was 7, my mom died, and I had siblings I essentially had to learn how to cook and how to take care of everything because my dad worked night shift sometimes and a day shift. He worked around the clock, so I really had to take care of my siblings. And when they started getting out to school, I always had to make sure that their sandwiches were cut in a certain way, or they wouldn't eat them, and make sure everybody's got their homework and everything's packed in their backpacks. And by the time they got them out the door, I was like, whew, it was quite a task. So I get it. Now she created a bond with the hiring manager. She's much more likely to get that job because there's that credibility, that there's that common shared experience, and the HR manager has, the trust that she gets it. So it's one of those things that you need to explain what it is that you do understand. Here's some more words to avoid using in a proposal. So rounding off or approximating quantities, approximately $1 million in savings, and personal language, right? So you want to give them precise numbers. You want to say who is going to do specific jobs, not the, the job will be done, those tasks will be completed by whom, right? Be specific. Too much technical jargon. If nobody but a specialist can understand your proposal, you probably have failed, because the contracting officer who makes the decisions, has the purse strings, will not understand, may not understand, and you will lose. You want to make sure that your proposal is readable. Generalizations and statements not backed by facts and details. When you say a number, or some, or multiple, or many, or several, numerous, myriad, whatever it is, right? That means you didn't look up something, or you're hiding something. If it's 2, say 2. If it's 3, say 3. It doesn't need to be a huge number to be impressive. It just needs to be honest and specific. That always carries a better message to the customer. Also, philosophical ruminations. Our philosophy is to recognize every employee for their achievements. Some people think it's good writing, guys. This is bad writing. Bad writing for proposals, right? So we value, it goes without saying that our mission is to, we're dedicated to, we're honored, we believe, we feel, we think. This is garbage, guys. I cut it out of the proposal every time. That's bad stuff. If your proposals sound like that, you're wasting whole bunch of page count and time, and it does not get you closer to victory. Persuasion is authenticity, passion, authority that come from stating how your expertise exactly will benefit the customer and citing the facts to prove it, period. No other superlatives, adjectives, selling, fluff, ruminations. And by the way, avoid the statements that sound fake, like the smile on that woman on the picture, right? Industry best practices, industry standard. Unless you're citing the exact standard you're following, right? Then do not use those words. Those are fake words. We're customer focused, of course we are. Who isn't? When you're saying that in a proposal. We're quality focused. Okay. Top quality. Is there any other kind? We're committed to, of course we are. Full service is a gas station in New Jersey. Uniquely qualified or unique. Unless the proposal tells you, hey, show how you're unique, and you use that word once, do not use that. Very few people are truly unique. Very few things are truly unique. There's no things that are unique unless you have a patent to that and it's a unique invention. Unless you're the only one that has something, and incumbency is not that, right? So don't use that word. It's one of those fake sales words. The right choice. Let the customer determine that. Also, trustworthy. We're a trustworthy company, or we're a trusted provider, or you can trust our company too. Please, when a salesperson tells you, trust me, usually people tell me, hey, they run for the door. Don't make your government customer feel like they have to run for the door. Comprehensive support, of course, that is, right? So it just there's fake corporate language that people have used all the time. It sounds fake. It is fake. Don't make your proposal get that fake flavor that shouldn't be there. So let me go ahead and take questions from you guys and see
Okay.
what you have.
Thanks. Hi, Olessia. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that at the beginning. I was talking, but I think my Wi-Fi dropped, so you couldn't hear me. And basically, I just wanted to let everybody know that they should type out their questions on the chat box. So we have had a couple come through. One is, what is the platform you use to track daily mandatory updates on proposals?
So I use Teams, Microsoft Teams, right? So we have Office 365 or whatever it is, the new name for it, right? And we are constantly tracking proposal efforts that way, and it's live. So you can also use Smart Sheets to do that. So that's another software you could use. And
Okay, great. Another one, this was earlier on, and it's, do you have a boilerplate template that you can share?
that's exactly what I told you not to do, guys. So don't ask me for that, please.
Okay. All right. Let's see down here. Excuse me. What is a PWS and SOO?
Right. So PWS is performance work statement, and that is where the government actually specifies, or you can actually write the PWS. The government may give you a statement of objectives. SOO, that is where you're saying, hey, here are the goals we want to achieve. And then you go ahead and develop your performance work statement in response to that and submit that with your proposal, where you're not only saying what you're going to deliver, but also how will the government tell that it is good. In other words, it's going to be associated with a metric, right? So like, let's say 95% staffing level. At all times we will, the task maybe we will staff personnel or, contractor shell staff personnel for this project, and the metric would be 95% staffing level minimum. So that kind of thing, right? So that's performance work statement. That's different from a statement of work that just tells you that you will staff personnel.
Okay, thank you. Can you recommend any open source proposal writing software?
Open source proposal writing. I don't use anything open source like that. I mean, a lot of the software is open source. You can make whatever you want with it, but you have to still pay for it, right? So we use SharePoint for developing proposals. If you use commercial proposals, there is QBDN, which is an enterprise solution for developing proposals using Boilerplate. But there's all kinds of proposal softwares out there. You can just do a quick web search, and you'll see that there's different options that exist for every kind of budget that you have for that. But I will tell you something: software is not going to make your proposal writing faster and better. That's not what, for the government. And if you're not in a commercial sort of large enterprise environment where you have different products and you have to keep up with the different cut sheets, you're not going to benefit from the software. It is a purely cost of human effort.
Okay.
Because every RFP is like a unique snowflake. They're all different.
All right, thanks. Next question.
You have next question? You cut out, Yasmin. Yasmin, you cut out. Can you hear me? So let me go ahead. Since I don't hear Yasmin, I'm going to try to answer the questions. Yes, the presentation will be provided. So the upcoming class information, guys, you can check out the training calendar right here on the screen on Maryland PTAC eCenterDirect.com events, and you'll see where the Maryland PTAC classes are. For OST, our web address is right here at the bottom, ostglobalsolutions.com. We have classes that are listed on our training tab, and you can find out about that. You asked what were the first and second points. you'll get the slides, and I won't be able to revert to this presentation and redo them, but go ahead and relook and audit what the presentation was, and take a look at that. So there's not a question about statement. I attended OST classes in 2013. I would recommend those. Attending this training to check them out. It will be well worth their time and money. Thank you very much for that recommendation. All right, so let's see here. I'm trying to figure out how to make this box bigger so I can read a little bit more easily. What is the percentage of text versus graphic ideally in a response? I would say I usually like to have a graphic or a visual on every page or every other page. And by graphic or visual, I mean sometimes you can have a focus box where you can put your wind themes in, not necessarily graphic. Sometimes you could put a table. It's also a visual, right? Something visually that does not have this ants on a page syndrome where you have just a text on a page after 10, you know, line after line after line. So that is sort of the proportion. I think I just made a host for this event. Let me see here. What other questions are there?
Hi, Olessia. Can you hear me now?
Hi. Yep.
I'm sorry about that. I'm having terrible technical difficulties over this end. So I don't know how many you got through, but yes, I just wanted to reiterate that we will be sending out the presentation. And let me see. Nope, all the questions have disappeared on my end, so I'm sorry about that. Were you able to answer any more?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, it's almost 5 minutes to 11.
I thought I saw a question on tips, and that's the one that disappeared on mine. Is let me see here. I just make sure. Let's see. The question that I had was, how do you do this with a one-person shop? Like I saw it pop up on the screen, but it disappeared. So if I didn't answer one of your questions, guys, if you could type that into the question and answer box, that would be good. So it's the recommendations for a small business as a one-man shop. Let me see here. Why does it disappear?
Okay, the question is, what are some recommendations for a small business that is a one-man shop in the proposal writing system with limited resources?
Okay, so the recommendations on that are learn as much as you can about being a good proposal writer. To me, knowledge is power. What I tell people, look, if you don't have, usually when you're a one-man person shop, it is you know, a limitation of the budget usually is the sign of that, right? So if you had money, you'd hire somebody. If you have to do it all yourself, I usually tell you, hey, you know, you either have time or money. That's going to be your resource you're going to use primarily. If you don't have money, you're going to be prepared to invest your time into that. That means working crazy hours in addition to whatever you do as your day job to write your proposal. So just be, I would say, morally prepared to burn the midnight oil. And also, when you are limited in resources, you want to make sure that you use your time correctly. Time is really, really important, and you need to understand how to prioritize tasks. So if you don't focus on the right priorities, you don't use your time as efficiently. Another kind of tip is learn how to do things fast. So learn how to outline, learn how to in-depth, right? Learn how to write faster, learn the speed writing techniques, understand what's being asked. So the more competent you are at this stuff, the better you get. Like, for example, I'm a professional. I write proposals for a living. Guess what? I don't have any problem being a one-woman shop, right? So, you know, it's just what it is, right? So if you are good at this, if you learn how to be good at this, then the only path to learning how to be good at this is invest into training, into serious training. You have to kind of do it as quickly as intensely as possible. Like our apprenticeship, for example, is a good way to do that. That's fairly cost effective. Especially if you're a veteran, for example, we have a way of actually paying for that via GI Bill, or any kind of veteran administration money that are available to you as a veteran, or maybe even as a spouse of a veteran. So look into that. So resources may be not even an issue if that's the case. And Maryland also subsidizes a portion of that process. So that may be another kind of tip for you to go ahead and get the knowledge that way without spending too much money. There will be time dedicated to that. Now here's another question. We're working as an incumbent and would like to propose integration of a new application deployment. How personal should the demo content be? In short, we're trying to show we know the job, client, and we're positioned to win the work. So without knowing more details, it's really hard to tell. But if you're trying to add scope to your existing contract, I would really try to showcase that to the customer, and I would show them. It would either give them a white paper on that, right, or a point paper. A point paper is a PowerPoint presentation where you send it to them and they want to go ahead and engage you with that information. Or a white paper is basically a more detailed kind of write-up on a solution and maybe even cost, but also telling them, hey, here's the vehicle we have. It actually fits within the scope of the current contract. Would you, that could be making it very easy for you if you just could add scope. So give them that contractual solution in addition to the technical solution, and that could get you to just, avoid the whole separate procurement, just add it to your existing vehicle. I had another question that I just saw pop up, but I don't see it on the list. I don't know why, Yasmin.
Okay, well, I can see some more. Did you answer the Google platform one? What is your take on the Google platform? You did? Okay.
No, I didn't.
Okay. The question is, what is your take on the Google platform for software proposal writing?
I've used Google Docs before for proposal writing, and it's all nice and dandy. You can collaborate on things simultaneously with multiple writers. What I find is multiple writers overwrite each other a lot of times, then there's conflict. Very hard to go back on version control, right? Because it actually just saves everything, and so it's tough to revert to the version. So always have that line in the sand, separate the proposal into multiple sections so that people are not working in one document, screwing up one document. Also, give yourself enough time to desktop publish, because Google Docs do not play as well with Word as like SharePoint. And even SharePoint, I will tell you something. I'm just coming out of a proposal where there were multiple authors. I'm talking about like 20 different authors working in a document, and it got crazy because the document wasn't updating properly, and we had things that were addressed appear 5 times over again because people kept the document open on their laptops even though we told them to close it, and it kept reverting to the older versions. There were all kinds of software glitches with that. So it's really weird. Some of the modern technology allows you to do simultaneous development very easily, but once you start introducing multiple parties to it, it starts glitching still. So you want to keep it sectioned out into multiple sections people work on, so that you are reducing the number of people working in the same document all at once. And you tell people to close out of the document when they're not working on it. And you want to also set some sort of like a baseline. Hey, here's the folder where I keep stuff up to pink team. Here's the pink team folder. Here's the folder between the pink and the red. Here's the red team folder. So you're always baselining your proposal so you can revert to the earlier versions. I hope that helps. What other questions do we have, Yasmin?
Okay, let's have it. Somebody wants to be part of your apprenticeship. How would they go about applying?
I'm going to switch to the contact information here, so you can send me an email or to check it out on our website, OST Global Solutions. Send an email to service@ostglobalsolutions.com or to David Huff as well. And also can call our office number right here. I'm on vacation right now, but here's the office number, and there's going to be somebody who will be answering the phone there and reaching. So,
okay. I think that's it for today. So I'd just like to thank you so much, Olessia, for doing this, particularly on your vacation. I don't know if I'd go that far, but thank you. We do appreciate it. And I'd like to apologize for the technical difficulties we were having, but we got through most of it okay. So thanks, everybody. And there's Olessia's information. So if you like to work with her, you know how to get hold of her. I'm now going to send the presentation out to you. And this webinar was recorded, so it will be put on our website probably sometime towards the end of tomorrow. So thanks again, Olessia, and thanks everybody. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.